Hello, Ken Weller here with new Tech Inventors, and down here at the print farm, same old routine, taking parts off the printers, starting new parts over and over again, and blah blah blah. Sometimes I get a little tired of just talking about nothing but printers. I would like to say to any of those out there that are thinking about getting into a business of their own, 3D printing, selling online, etc. That's why I started doing these videos to begin with, was hopefully to show other people out there thinking about getting into 3D printing for profit, to make things, sell online, show them how I approached it and how I did it. Because when I started the videos, I was just learning a little bit about 3D printers at the time, let alone getting a business going and everything. And now that I'm well into it, I've gone through the process of getting some patents on some of the products, done all kinds of prototype testing and printing of the parts, perfecting them, and also building some inventory and building a manufacturing facility. That's what this print farm is. It's my manufacturing facility where I can manufacture large quantities of parts to make these products, and so I can sell them online. In addition to all of that, I also had to set up a legitimate business, get all the licenses and federal IDs, and set the company up as an LLC, a limited liability company, with the state of Tennessee. I had to get a domain name, set up a website, and I couldn't do all of that myself, so I did hire someone to help me set up the website and also set up the Facebook page, and we're in the process of starting some marketing now, and also setting up an Amazon store, and just a lot of things were associated with that. But now when I sell a product, my printer automatically prints the shipping label and the packing list, and I can go ahead and just slap that label on the particular box that we already have prepackaged and get that thing sent out. There was a lot of work getting up to this point. A few words for anyone thinking about getting into this or doing it. There are a lot of different approaches you can take. My approach was to do everything I could by myself, to manufacture my own parts, design them, engineer them, everything. Other people may find simple items or find items that already exist and produce some type of a part that can be an enhancement to that existing product out there on the market. There are a lot of approaches and things that you can come up with, but anything you do, it's going to require a lot of time and effort and dedication to be successful. I don't want anyone to think that it's an easy road. You're going to get into this and then everything's just going to fall in your lap, because it won't. You'll have to work each step of the way and work your way through a lot of problems. Looking back years ago, when I was in my early 20s, I had just recently gotten out of the 4 years serving in the military. I was wanting to do everything. I didn't have any specific plan. I just wanted to make some money and enjoy life, live the American dream, I guess. I think that being in the military was good for me because it did teach me discipline. I never missed a day of work when the 4 years I was in the service. I always showed up when I was supposed to, and maybe it was because after going through basic training, I was afraid my drill sergeants were going to track me down and beat me with a stick or something, but I did have that discipline. I always get up and be at work when I was supposed to. Never did in 4 years miss any assembly job hours that I was supposed to be working or being somewhere I was supposed to be. So that stayed with me all of my life. I've been one that just didn't miss work. I always felt like that was just something you had to do. So it's good if you can instill that value in you, where you're going to do what you say you're going to do and what you're supposed to do, and have that self-discipline. When I got out, I worked for a few people and did a few jobs, but eventually I went in business for myself. I took a chance and started a new business, electronics business. Many people, almost all my friends and everything, said I was going to fail, and I was foolish to leave a paying job to go into this business and not knowing what the outcome was going to be. But I was dedicated, and what the business was, I was pre-wiring homes for security systems. Now this was during the construction stage, so these homes were being built, and I would go in there and I would drill the holes in the walls and put the switches in the windows, run the wires in the walls and in the attic and everything, connect them and run them all to a central location. I would charge, I think at that time I was charging $150 to pre-wire a house for a security system. I had to buy the wire and buy the switches and have a step ladder and a drill, and I had gone out and bought, I think it was a '69 Plymouth GTX. It was an old car. This was about 1973, and I bought this car, and it had a pretty big trunk, and I could get my 6-foot step ladder in the trunk, and I could get my rolls of wire in there, and my drill, and my extension cords, and I even had a couple lights, because what I would do, I would work after dark. I would work sometimes 12 hours a day wiring these houses to make this money. And at first it was rough, because I'd have to buy all this material. I didn't have enough money to be able to go out there and buy on credit or just stock up inventory. It took every penny I had to buy a few spools of wire and a few boxes of contact switches. And then I'd go out there and do the work and send a bill to the builder. Well, it might be a couple of weeks, because I normally wouldn't get a check from him until he got a draw or a check from the person he was building the home for. That delay, if you know anything about cash flow, that affects cash flow a lot when you have a delay there, because that meant that if I was out of money, I couldn't buy the wire and stuff to do the next pre-wire to send a bill out. And these pre-wires had to be done in a timely manner, because they had to be done in that stage, usually about a week or two you had before they start putting drywall up. And then once that happens, then you're in trouble. You can't pre-wire a house without going through a lot of trouble. At the time when I got out of the service, I bought a mobile home, a 12 by 60 mobile home, and put that mobile home in a small trailer park. And I thought I was the king on the mountain. I had my own home. And I've heard people talk about people that live in mobile homes and trailer people and stuff. I'll tell you what, I was one of them. And I was proud to have a place that I called my own, that I bought and was paying for. you have to be a little bit humble and never look down at anybody because they're starting out or they're at a lower level than you. And to this day, I don't do that at all. I respect people regardless of what their income is or what their status is, financial or otherwise, because it's what's in their heart, their ethics and everything that count. And when I see someone like that really trying, I'm inspired. So I was that kind of a person. I was working all the time, and I got a lot of support from several builders. They helped me get jobs, and it wasn't long before these houses were nearing completion. And even though I didn't make very much money on the rough ends because I had a lot of money in the materials, the wiring and everything, when it came time to trim them out, all I had to do was put a control panel in and an entry panel and so forth, and a few items and some smoke or fire alarms, a local siren. You did all of that, and then you got the big paycheck, which was about $250. A smaller portion of that went into materials, and that's when you finally made some money you could put in the bank. And that money helped bankroll the next wave of houses or jobs that you were going to be doing. So I did that, and it finally started to grow, and I was able to buy a couple of used telephone company trucks or vans that I purchased at an auction. And I think I paid $450 or $550 each for 3 of them. And I went to the auto parts store and bought a bunch of orange paint. And I guess when you look at maybe my favorite color is orange, but I painted all of these vans orange and then wrote on the side of them Kentron Electronic Systems, which was the name of my company. And by that time I'd hired a couple of people to work for me and to go out and do these jobs, and the business started growing. So I became successful with that electronic business. And it all was because I was willing to take a few chances and leave a good paying job and go out there and try to do this on my own. Going to the bank and borrowing $450. $450 back then was a lot for me because I could buy a lot of wire and a lot of switches to pre-wire these homes, and I could also buy some of the control panels and so forth. And I actually started making my own control panels and manufacturing them. I made my own circuit boards. I had a little dark room set up where I would do the photo processing of the boards. I would etch them and then take them out, drill them, solder the components onto them and so forth, and mount them in these metal boxes and put the switches and LEDs on the front and everything. And that would be my alarm system. I've gotten a little bit away from 3D printers, but I think, as you can see, even back in 1973, I was starting a business from scratch, actually my first business ever, and going through the hardships financially of getting it going, taking all of the risk, and then getting it finally on track to where I was making money and had a successful electronics business. Today, with this business, fortunately, I didn't have the financial constraints, and I wasn't taking that kind of a financial risk. I didn't have to resort to eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to get this business going like I did back in the 70s. But other than that, everything else was pretty much the same. A lot of hard work, just continuously beating away at the different problems as they occurred, solving them, and moving forward. And that's what starting a business and going into business for yourself is. It requires that. If you're willing to do that, then I would say you're going to be successful. If you think going into business for yourself is going to be something where you can decide one day, well, I think I don't have a boss, I think I'll take off and go fishing, or I think I'll just take the day off, I don't feel like getting up to stay in bed, something like that. If you're that kind of a person, then going in business for yourself may not be the best choice, because you don't have someone that's going to fire you if you don't show up, but your business may not succeed if you don't show up. And that can be a lot worse than getting fired from a job. You can lose everything that you've invested, your time, energy, and money, just by having that weakness and not being there to follow through on the things that have to be done from day to day. So keep that in mind. But a lot of you out there, I'm sure, are the type of people that would stick with it. And you're the people I'm telling, don't hesitate. The time will never be perfect. It doesn't just open up like a door and say, oh, this is the perfect time to start your own business. That's not going to happen. There are going to be lots of doors, and most of them are going to be shut. And you're just going to have to make the decision that it's your time, and then you're going to have to start knocking down doors and get your business going. And I think, if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. One way or another, you'll be rewarded. If the business that you jump into is not successful, if it fails, when you close the doors on that business, don't give up, because the next opportunity, when it comes time that you feel it's right for you to step out and try starting a business a second time, you're well prepared. You've already gone through a lot of that one time. You learn from your mistakes, and also you learn from experience. So take that experience, take what you've learned from your mistakes, and don't hesitate. Don't be afraid that you're going to fail a second time. Take the shot. Go for it. You have a much greater chance of being successful the second time than you did the first. And if you're successful that second time, great. Let's say that you're not successful the second time. I'd say don't give up. Be Rocky Balboa and just keep punching away. Don't let that Apollo Creed out there beat you down, because sooner or later it's going to work for you. You're going to have the strength and stamina to get your business going and to be successful. And once you do that, then the rewards will make it all worthwhile. And you'll be glad that you stuck with it. And that's what I want to encourage a lot of you to do. Okay. So until the next time, happy printing from New Tech Inventors.